ProcureAm ringing the NASDAQ opening bell today in honor of its Procure Space ETF. There they are, the ticker UFO. And co-founder and CEO Andrew Chanin joins us now to discuss making money in space. So we have had a number of people come through here that are kind of going a different route. They're doing the PE, the VC route. You're getting into publicly traded space names. Are there enough of them?
Absolutely, and our fund proves that there is. I think a lot of people want to get exposure to space, but like you mentioned, the previous routes, early stage companies, private equity, things like that, it really restricts most investors from getting exposure to these names. And UFO makes it available for not just retail investors, but institutions as well. Anyone that wants to get exposure to space companies can invest in UFO and get exposure to 30 plus publicly traded names from around the world doing all different things across the space industry.
So just looking at the top 10 holdings, it seems that it's mostly kind of like a satellite sort of play at this point, or is that the way that it appears you can get the most obvious exposure to space from these companies? Obviously, a name like Garmin, Sirius, Dish that a lot of investors are going to know will know them for their land-based ventures, but obviously there's a space angle there.
Well, their land-based ventures are entirely reliant upon space-based systems, so satellite, broadcasting, communications, things like that. They're utilizing the satellite infrastructure and to send satellites up into space and actually build out that infrastructure that those companies rely on. Satellites are a crucial part of the equation there. So yes, to answer your question, satellites are a major provider of revenues from the space economy right now, and currently in the publicly traded world that makes up a large amount of it. If you go kind of further down the list, you'll see some of the more diversified aerospace defense names, your Lockheed's, Airbus, companies like that are major players in space, but that entire tranche of diversified names are actually capped at no more than 20% of the fund. So you'll look at the remaining 80% or more of the fund is focused on these pure play names. Virgin Galactic, one of those companies in there, also doing something very different, the first pure play space transportation company.
Yeah, I joked with Miles the other day that the total addressable market of space is infinity, but all you have to do is find one of these asteroids out there that's filled with minerals, gold, whatever. And I'm not even joking right now, because which of these companies and how far are we out from being able to mine in space? And are any of these companies set to take advantage of that, or do we have to wait for other ones to become public?
Companies are working on various ways of doing that, but right now that's a lot further away, in my opinion. I think when asteroid mining and things like that start to really take off is when we actually need and have more kind of established permanent space infrastructure. So when you need to resupply a permanent lunar base or Martian base or something like that with natural resources, it's probably a little bit easier to then go and start mining asteroids and bringing it there. I think the Kuiper Belt and whatnot could be out there and utilized for human progress as we expand further beyond Earth. But bringing it back to Earth, it's certainly something that companies are working on, because you said there's trillions of dollars worth of natural resources. Currently we're not running out necessarily of all of them on Earth, so it might be maybe next 100 years from now we could start seeing that pick up. But right now no company is really planting their flag saying, hey, we're going to be a publicly traded asteroid mining company, and we're going to be doing it in the near future.
There's so much investment that's required in this. It's definitely a capital heavy, investment heavy area. So we've got the government, or at least we used to have the government doing a lot. Now we also have a couple billionaires that seem to be playing in the space, and I don't know, I think it's like their charity work, and they're trying to lose money on it. So how do these companies fit into the space economy when you have the government and then you have billionaires? Like, does it squeeze these companies that you're pinning right now?
So the government's actually extremely helpful for this industry. So roughly 20% of global space spending actually comes from the government. So that's actually kind of a support that we see right there for these various companies. Additionally, when you look at government agencies and government space agencies in particular, very few of them are actually saying, hey, we need to come up with all the R&D and we need to build everything ourselves and we need to own and operate it. Most of them are actually saying, hey, this is what we want to do. Hey, companies, start telling us how you're going to go about doing it, and we'll actually finance that. And so they're saying less, we need to do everything, and more, hey, this is a globally collaborative industry. So, I think the governments and what they want to do and the kind of the varying degree of the scope of what they want to do actually allows for more players to come to the space. And now, yes, we do have billionaires that are starting their own projects and whatnot and kind of going in the direction that they see to be opportunity that they're most excited about. But really, when companies start building useful, usable space technology, lots of that becomes actual inputs or things that future companies will use. So they kind of lay out the infrastructure today, and other companies will be able to utilize that. So you look at some company that wants to send things into space, doing it now costs like a mere fraction of what it did before because of things like reusable rockets, which are lowering the cost of launch, as well as smaller satellites that are more powerful than they were before. So you could send up a smaller piece of something that you want to put into orbit, and it's going to cost significantly less.
Well, it's definitely an area that people are interested in. The ETF is the Procure Space ETF, tickers UFO. Andrew Chanin, CEO, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.